Donald Trump's invasion of Venezuela continues to blow up in his face. Already, the Trump regime had to admit that their claim that Maduro is the leader of a dangerous drug smuggling cartel is false. Yep, the Justice Department had to drop the claim that Venezuela's Cartel de Soles is an actual group. That was one of the pretexts for Donald Trump's invasion. But in the indictment of Maduro, it says that the terminology was simply a slang term and that there's not actually a gang that goes by that name. As Aaron Reichlin Melnick says, incredible. When they actually have to prove stuff to a jury, they seem to drop their arguments awfully quickly. At the same time, Donald Trump is going to face a significant argument by Maduro about something called sovereign state immunity or head of state immunity. And one of the ways to avoid that would have been to claim Maduro's not actually the president of Venezuela and he was illegitimate, and maybe it was a bad decision when you went on social media, Donald, and referred to Maduro as President Nicolas Maduro, thus giving Maduro Exhibit A if he wants to file a motion to dismiss under a doctrine called head of state immunity or sovereign immunity to get his criminal case dismissed, that you can't bring criminal charges against an existing sovereign. Donald Trump posted on January 3rd. Now this is going to be used as evidence by Maduro. The United States of America successfully carried out large-scale strikes against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolas Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. What Trump should have said if he was actually consulting with the DOJ and he wanted to make these charges stick, actually, would be to say the illegitimate leader, the pretender president, or maybe just don't run your mouth on social media. At the same time, Donald Trump is now saying that the American taxpayers will likely have to subsidize the American oil companies to go into Venezuela. So I'm trying to get this straight. Donald Trump claims he called the oil companies both before and after the invasion of Venezuela, to get their okay and coordinate with them. Trump did not get approval from Congress. Hence, this was an unlawful invasion. But Donald, didn't you say the oil companies were so thrilled about this, that they were so excited to get into Venezuela and those big, beautiful oil companies were going to extract all the oil? Well, if they really wanted to do that, why are you going to have to subsidize them? Well, at the same time that you're refusing to extend the Affordable Care Act healthcare subsidies for the American people, and Americans are getting kicked off their healthcare, you're going to subsidize oil companies to seize the oil in Venezuela. Do you know how much it probably will cost for oil companies for their CapEx, for their capital expenditures in Venezuela in order to build out oil infrastructure there, which still would have to be refined somewhere, likely in the United States? Do you know what the cost of that would be? 50, 75, $100 billion. Well, in an NBC exclusive, Trump says the government, meaning we the people, the taxpayers, may reimburse oil companies for rebuilding Venezuela's infrastructure. Big oil companies will either get reimbursed by us or through revenue, Trump told NBC in an exclusive interview, as Carl Quintanilla says, out. Helping you pay for your healthcare costs, in helping oil companies pay for their infrastructure in a foreign country. So could it get any worse for Donald Trump? Actually, it can. When you had basically every country in the United Nations yesterday, Security Council, condemning the United States, where China essentially asserted itself as the leader of the world, calling on the United States to recognize the sovereignty of countries like Venezuela and others and to respect the UN Charter, while you had Trump's stooge, Mike Walls, the ambassador to the United Nations, say this is all about dominance of the Western Hemisphere and we are going to seize whatever we want in the Western Hemisphere. That's what the United States said in a United Nations meeting. And by the way, could it get any worse? Well, Donald, isn't this your puppet right here, Delcy Rodriguez, who you believe is going to be running Venezuela in the interest of the United States now? So Maduro's number two, Delcy Rodriguez, the vice president, is who Donald Trump has anointed to basically be his handpicked leader in Venezuela. She was sworn in yesterday as the now president of Venezuela. Seems the coordination of theirs seems a little bit coordinated. We'll just say that. And look at her right here. Give big hugs to the ambassador of China, the ambassador of Russia, the ambassador of Iran. You see her right there. They were all there at her swearing in ceremony. So Donald Trump has thrown under the bus Maria Corina Machado, the main opposition leader who backed Edmundo Gonzalez, who by all accounts, Gonzalez won the Venezuelan election in July 2024. But Trump said they don't have the respect, or Machado doesn't have the respect of the Venezuelan people, and thus it's going to be Delcy Rodriguez. And look, Delcy Rodriguez likely does have some side deal with Donald for oil, but look at her right here. And you have the China ambassador, Russia ambassador, Iran ambassador. Certainly give her a warm greeting. So China, Russia, Iran don't feel like they're getting cut out there. So I'm just trying to understand what was the planning here? The plan was to pick another Maduro stooge to just lead Venezuela and then allow Russia, Iran, and China to continue their influence while throwing the main opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, under the bus. And she's had to go through this humiliation ritual for Donald and MAGA. She had to say the 2020 election was rigged and stolen because that's what Donald wanted her to do. She dedicated the freaking Nobel Peace Prize to Donald, but Donald was pissed that she accepted it in the first place. According to the reporting from the Washington Post and others, that was the last straw when Machado accepted that Nobel Peace Prize. Donald Trump wanted that Peace Prize for himself. Machado then went on state regime media last night. She was on Hannity, and now state regime media is trying to help her out because they realize that Donald Trump screwed this whole thing up, and now he just has another Maduro person running Venezuela who's going to still be helping Russia, Iran, and China, while the United States just looks absolutely helpless and pathetic. So Hannity brings on Machado, and this is not AI. This is a real interview where Hannity goes, so are you going to offer Donald Trump your Nobel Peace Prize? Will you give him your Peace Prize if he lets you be the president? And then Machado goes, it hasn't happened yet, but we want to give Donald the Nobel Peace Prize. You want to hand Donald your Nobel Peace Prize? At this point, has Donald Trump just destroyed the whole Nobel Peace Prize? When someone who wins it wants to give it to someone for unlawfully invading the country in order to become the president? What? This is what Machado said on Fox. Play this clip.
Did you at any point offer to give him the Nobel Peace Prize? Did that actually happen? I had read that somewhere. I wasn't sure if it was true.
Well, it hasn't happened yet, but I certainly would love to be able to personally tell him that we believe the Venezuelan people, because this is a prize of the Venezuelan people, certainly want to give it to him and share it with him. What he has done, as I said, is historic. It's a huge step towards a democratic transition.
And then Machado's like, we need the transition with the opposition party to move forward. She says that Delcy Rodriguez, who's now the president of Venezuela, is the main ally with Russia, China, and Iran, and should not be trusted by international leaders or by oil companies. Well, she's now in charge. Donald Trump said that you're gone and that you're not respected. He picked her, the authoritarian, allied with Russia, Iran, and China.
Sure, by the United States government and by the Venezuelan people. And certainly we believe that this transition should move forward. Delcy Rodriguez, as you know, is one of the main architects of torture, persecution, corruption, narco trafficking. She's the main ally and liaison with Russia, China, Iran. Certainly not an individual that could be, trusted by international investors. And she's really rejected, repudiated by the Venezuelan people. So we move forward. And as you mentioned, and we won an election by a landslide under fraudulent conditions. In free and fair elections, we will win by over 90% of the votes. I have no doubt about it.
Maria Corina Machado, thank you. Godspeed. Please be safe. And I hope you have a lot of protection when you get there. It's scary.
By the way, even on state regime media, you had Jesse Waters saying, yeah, this wasn't regime change because the regime is still intact. Maduro's regime is still there. Okay, here, play this clip.
This guy out of here. But Dana, this is not regime change. This is just trying to change the regime's behavior. Remember, the regime is still intact. So you have this vice president who we're going to have to deal with. Now, I don't know whether she is an ideologue, a thief, a nationalist. We're about to find out.
Might be our asset.
She could be. We don't know yet, but time will tell.
And then Jesse Waters says, well, we might not have elections in Venezuela for some time, but it's better that it's done this way. I'd rather have them on our payroll than have them on the payroll of the cartels and the communists. What in the world are you talking about? Machado was the opposition leader. Delcy Rodriguez is in the Maduro regime, who's allied with Russia, Iran, and China. Here, play this clip.
Now, we might not have elections for quite some time. We might have to bribe a lot of people in Venezuela, but I'd rather have them on our payroll than have them on the payroll of the cartels and the communists, which is why we'll be going down and broadcasting all next week live from Caracas.
I can't wait.
Johnny will be on the streets, getting the pulse of the people, doing Man on the Street, and that is something everybody will look forward to.
I can't wait to see the movie.
By the way, even Megyn Kelly is saying when I turn on Fox, it's like regime media. Play this clip.
When I was at Fox News, which was a long time, 14 years, I would have known exactly what to do in the wake of Trump's attack in Venezuela, his retrieval, shall we say, to put it in mild terms, of Nicolas Maduro. I would have known that I was supposed to cheerlead it. And I turned on Fox News yesterday, and I'm sorry, but it was like watching Russian propaganda. There was nothing skeptical. It was all rah, rah, cheerleading. Yes, let's go.
So with all of this going on, Donald Trump is doing what Donald Trump does. He goes on social media and he starts ranting and raving like a lunatic. You have Donald Trump attacking the family of the late slain Minnesota lawmaker Melissa Hortman. Donald Trump is saying that she was probably assassinated by Governor Walz, and the family members of Melissa Hortman had to come out and say, can you please remove these videos that you're showing, Donald, defaming our mother who was murdered? As this one account says, only Donald Trump can make the murder of your parents worse. He's unmatched in this ability. Donald Trump also says pregnant women don't use Tylenol unless absolutely necessary. Don't give Tylenol to your young children for virtually any reason. Break up the MMR shot into 3 totally separate. What are you talking about? Donald Trump is the guy who is just taking 350 milligrams of whatever he's taking every single day. Donald Trump, as our editor-in-chief Ron Filipkowski says, president, OBGYN doctor, architect, windmills and renewable energy expert, whale psychologist, media critic, economist, author, TV host, technology infrastructure. Donald Trump thinks he knows everything, but he knows nothing about nothing. It's ridiculous. Also, you have a former ambassador, Bob Ray, Canadian UN ambassador, saying the following. Here, play this clip.
The State Department put this out on social media today, saying this is our hemisphere. So you see that. I mean, that is not just our country, our self-interest. It is the whole geographic region of spanning multiple continents.
Yeah, but with great respect to the State Department, David, this is our hemisphere. I could put out a little thing on YouTube saying this is my hemisphere. This is our hemisphere. Like, what the hell is this? You can't unilaterally declare that you have unique jurisdiction over an entire half of the world, and all the people who live in that half of the world just have to put up or shut up. And that's not how the world works.
Yeah, aspirin was the word I was looking for. 350 milligrams of aspirin every day. Donald Trump also said today the Trump administration is announcing the United States of America's updated childhood vaccination schedule. The schedule is rooted in the gold standard of science. No, it's rooted in conspiracy. And Donald Trump and RFK Jr. put a board of people who do not know what the hell they're doing, spreading vaccine lies. And now their recommendations are out there that are going to result in potentially thousands, tens of thousands, or even more children getting very badly sick or dying as a result of what the Trump regime is doing. Finally, I'm going to make a whole other video on this as well. But you also have the Trump regime filing a DOJ. The Trump regime DOJ filed a letter with a federal judge who required a status update on the release of the Epstein files, where the Trump regime now admits that they've only produced about 12,000 or so documents, which equals about 125,000 pages. So about 10.2 pages for each document. And they said they're now still reviewing an additional 2 million documents. So do 2 million times 10.2 pages. That means there's about 20 million more pages that are out there. The Trump regime also says that it's using 125 full-time attorneys in the Southern District of New York, 125 lawyers at SDNY, as well as, it seems, dozens or potentially hundreds of other lawyers in other departments in other states. Well, what were these lawyers doing before? What were they doing in March and February when Bondi said she had the files on her desk? Anyway, that's what's going on. We'll keep you posted every step of the way. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers, and thanks for watching.
New Meidas merch. Head to store.MeidasTouch.com today and get yourself the best pro-democracy gear and show your support. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.